Hi there. I wanted to do a quick demo of how block types work in Brimm. As an example, we'll go over how you might choose to model task blocks. If you're new to Brimm, it is a full-stack open-source graph knowledge management system. It should be familiar if you've used apps like Notion or Obsidian. It is in alpha, as you can see from the UI, and it is under active development. You can find out more about it and how you can support its development in the description. So, um, task blocks. So let's see here. Um, a task block. Let's try modeling tasks as starting from the default Brimm block. So the default Brimm block has only two properties on it, and we can like a task should really needs a status, right? So we'll mark this as to do, and maybe we can add a due date here. Okay, so that's our task, and this works. The trouble is, well, you might find it a bit tedious if you now wanted to create a new task and you had to do the same thing over again. That is where block types come in, but also a block may represent information about many different things. For example, a person, like this block represents a person. The person has like an image next to it and the full name, or like bookmarks. We may choose to model them as, show the website icon on the left, and then have the title, the description, and the URL of the bookmark. Anyway, let's go back to our demo. So these inherent categories of things are modeled as block types in Brimm. And now let's create a block type for our tasks. So um, this is the current weird way of adding icons to your blocks. And yeah, so the most important thing about a type is its prototype. And this is a representative block of the type, and it serves as a blueprint from which instances are created. So for our task prototype, well, maybe we can add the default value of the task on the text. And we'll add the status property, and all new instances should be created with the to-do status. And now we can add tasks. This is the current way of doing it. It will be streamlined. And so let's say that's task one, and then we can create a task two to here. Maybe that task is done. Of course, you may wish to add any property to a type instance. It doesn't have to be in the prototype. The property doesn't have to be in the prototype. So I can add due date here if I wanted to. Um, yeah. Okay. So that's the basic workflow. So a cool thing about Brimm is that it recognizes the different types of information may need different visual representations, as I've shown with the person and the bookmark examples. So maybe we can make our types a little cuter. So it's easier for me to do this and then explain. So I'll just there's a layout here in which props are laid out in a grid, and maybe this will be the status, and maybe even make this a little bit prettier. So now we see that our tasks now are there's the status next to the title. It's synced here. I see now that this is like a duplicated. This is unnecessary. I can unpin it. So now like our tasks look nice and pretty. One tricky thing for me as a developer has been figuring out how to approach type modifications in light of already existing instances. So for example, what if I now wanted to change the default value of the status? What should happen? What what, if anything, should happen to the already existing instances. And ultimately, I've concluded that only the user can know what the correct approach is, but Brimm tries to help and currently offers two methods of syncing type modifications to instances. The first method is auto-syncing, um, signified by this icon here. So it could be turned on and off, and basically, as you've seen already, if I make any changes to the prototype, it is synced to the instances. So if I now change this to done, I change back to do, we see that our tasks are not doing what we want, maybe. Like if this is marked as done, I don't want it to change its status. So this is what I mean by tricky. Another thing is, so now we can add our due dates here. They will be added. But if I now remove them, they are removed from blocks. So again, this may or may not be what you want. Okay, so we can turn this off, and just to showcase this, let's see, maybe I want to add a new default status. I'll change this to in progress, and then I'm going to add a new pending status here. So if I change this now, nothing happens. Okay. I can create a new block, of course, create a new task, and it has the pending value by default. Okay, so of course, at any point you can turn the auto syncing back on, and you can do whatever, and it will sync. The alternative approach to auto syncing is to manually sync values from instances to the prototype. So I don't know if I like removed the status from the block layout, and I can now use this button, set this value on all instances, and now all instances have this, or I can make all instances have the done value for their status, which now you cannot see here, but yeah. Okay. That is all for this video. Hopefully it gives you a little taste of Brimm, and thanks for watching.